On today's show, the guys welcome Joe and Kristin Merrill, a first grade teacher and fourth grade teacher from Naples, Florida. There's an East update. We've got information on judging for the Conrad Challenge, some random banter about who knows what, all of that and more up next here on EduTechGuys. You're listening to the EduTechGuys, EduTechGuys.com. Hello and welcome to EduTechGuys Radio. I'm David Henderson.
Hey, I'm Jeff Madlock.
Hey, good afternoon to you, or morning or evening. Depends on when you're listening to it. Whatever time it is, thanks for listening.
The rule is you better just be listening.
That's right.
Hey, listen, check us out on the web at www.edutechguys.com. Heck, just go out to Google. I see this every week. Go out to Google, type in EduTechGuys. You're going to find us. Check us out on Twitter. Drop us a message. Let us know how it's going. It's going to be a great show today. Great topics with some of our new friends from Naples, Florida.
Yeah.
And, that made me think we're going to talk about a lot of ways that they use apps and technology in their classroom to create meaningful experiences for kids. And you know what? You're listening to this show. You probably got about, a week left before you head off for Christmas break. And we know how that time gets. You're looking for a little filler. You're trying to wrap up school, wrap up the class before the end of the semester. Maybe you're not, but most likely you are. But this would be a great time to get kids excited about the season and about fun. So, hey, take some of those apps. Take a few of those apps and try them in your class right now. You got a week, so, throw them out there. Joe and Kristin are first and fourth grade teachers respectively. So if they're making it happen with Buncee and Flipgrid and all that kind of cool stuff in their classroom, then you can make it happen too.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, I was working with a group of gifted and talented coordinators, I think is what they're called, or specialists, teachers. I can't remember. There's a title after that. But anyway, I was working with a group of them. I guess it was Friday, I guess. They were wanting some enrichment apps and websites, that kind of thing. I'm mostly focused on web-based online things. So we looked at Nearpod and Kahoot and some things like that. Now, we did also look at that app that I can't remember what it's called. Son of a building block.
Was it the 3D app you guys were talking about?
Yeah, it was
the 3D coloring stuff?
Yes, the 3D coloring stuff.
That's a really cool one. But you know what? While he's going to look that up real quick, I can tell you that there's
Quiver Vision.
Quiver Vision, that's it. Yeah, that's a really
Vision.
Cool one. But like you guys do a lot of stuff, you and Chad Morris, the GT specialist here, do a lot of stuff with WeVideo. In fact, I just helped judge some videos for some kids for vlogs. So this would be a great Christmas present to throw out there. Let your kids in your classroom, students, create some video blogs. Use WeVideo. Use any of that stuff. Create a Christmas presentation with Buncee. Use Flipgrid. It also does some really awesome stuff in that area. There's a lot of things you could turn out, do some quick Christmas projects that would give the students a chance to go home and show grandma and grandpa and aunts and uncles and cousins and everybody what they did during the school year so far. Be pretty cool.
Yeah, lots of different ways that you can take those different apps and incorporate information about the holiday, depending on what your content is. Essentially, giving your students ways to present their content knowledge other than the traditional PowerPoint or typed up paper, or even a diorama, there's nothing wrong with any of those. However, they've been done 100 gazillion times. So if there's a way that your students can creatively demonstrate their content knowledge, still staying in with whatever rubric you've got, and whatever your assessment criteria are, that's awesome. That's great. But just, giving them alternative ways to do that. And you were talking about the vlog competition that we had. As we are recording this, we actually haven't announced winners or anything like that. But we did judge those pieces, and we had several, like a dozen or more entries from our school districts from around, and we concentrated this go around on students in 5th through 8th grade. And we had given them one of 4 topics that they had to pick from, and they had to do a vlog on that particular topic, and they had to pick a side. That was part of the thing. So like one of them was, do video games cause violence? And they had to pick a side, and then they had to back it up. and they had to produce a piece. And I tell you, you saw them. Some of the pieces were really well put together.
Very creative. And there's no failing there. They just learned more about what to do the next time they make one.
Right.
So it's really cool.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a great idea. One of the cool apps you're going to hear about in the interview later is a book creator. So I'll throw one out for you right now. It's right before Christmas. Maybe as a class, use book creator to make what we did this semester so far. That way every kid can have a little piece of it. You could probably do one individually where every kid can make their own with Book Creator, but a class opportunity where everyone got to put in, in a class with say 14 to 24 kids, you could have a pretty nice book there. It'd be pretty cool. Something the parents and the grandparents and the families would love to see, and you'd have a great little history timeline of what you did that first semester.
Yeah.
So just a little ideas there.
That'd be very cool.
Yeah. Hey, I tell you what, we're going to have a great show today. We're going to take a quick break and let you learn how you could be a judge for the Conrad Challenge. We'll be right back after this.
You could be a judge for the Conrad Challenge. Read the blueprints of the future. The Conrad Challenge is an excellent opportunity for industry, government, research, and academia to help support the youth of today and take an active role in shaping our future workforce. Each year, we seek out individuals willing to serve as judges during the business plan round of the competition, as well as on-site judges during the Conrad Innovation Summit. Get more information at conradchallenge.org/judges.
Hey, welcome back to the EduTechGuys. We're really excited to have our next guest on the show, a husband and wife team coming all the way to us from Naples, Florida. But I'm going to let them introduce themselves, tell us who they are, what they do, and all that kind of good stuff. So here we go.
Hi, my name is Joe Merrill. I'm a first grade teacher from Naples, Florida.
And I am Kristin. I am a fourth grade teacher of English language arts primarily.
Awesome. Cool, man.
Awesome. So let's talk about what you guys do in the class that makes you so excited about education.
Well, that's a great question. I think one of the things that we're really passionate about is just trying to make learning interactive. And so what we really try to aim for is creating memorable experiences for our students, whether that's through the means of technology or just some kind of unique environment. We really aim to try to set that bar high and just make it a fun experience for our students.
That's really cool.
So what are some of the things that you guys do? And I mean, I know you're in first grade. You're not in first grade. You teach first grade. You teach fourth grade. So what are some of the things you guys do to bring that activity into your classrooms?
So obviously we set high classroom expectations at the beginning of the year, so the kids have a level of understanding of how to work with each other collaboratively. Mm-hmm. And then that collaboration can go into small group work. Sometimes there's room transformations where the rooms get transformed into like different places or video games or, book settings. We often use technology or up and coming things that the kids are really interested in to kind of engage them, because we feel like when there's that level of engagement, then they have that commitment to work through the hard things.
That's really cool. So let's talk about that #interactive class. How did you guys come up with that?
Well, we kind of feel like the classroom should be student-centered.
Okay.
And if the students aren't active in their learning and the learning isn't revolving around them, then you're not going to really get a lot of buy-in from them. And unfortunately, they're not really going to retain a lot of information. So we feel like learning should be responsive. Your classroom should be responsive. Your environment should be responsive. Your interactions and relationships with them should be responsive, and they should have an active role in all of those things.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I think one of the things that really resonated with me was, I can't remember if it was Holly Clark or Matt Miller that said it, but one of them said, if your students didn't have to come to class, would they be there? Mm-hmm. And so that really stuck with us, and we really want to try to make that a top priority to make sure that, that even young first graders, would they want to come to school every day? Absolutely. I would hope so. And, we just really try to go above and beyond to make that happen.
So let's talk about that. So, Joe, you do first grade, you teach first grade, and you are a moderator for Flipgrid Fever on
Correct.
chat. So
yes.
Let's talk about a Flipgrid experience in your class. We have a lot of elementary teachers that follow us, and they would like to know, okay, so how do I use, say, Flipgrid in my first grade classroom? Give us a for instance.
Well, there's a lot of ways you can use it, obviously. If you're just starting out, that I recommend just keeping it super simple, whether it's like an icebreaker or something like that, because the beautiful thing about Flipgrid is that the platform is so easy to use that once you have your students hooked, they're going to be able to take off and run with it. So if you start off easy, let them get used to the features of it, they can really go on from there. Some of the more exciting lessons that we've done, and this one caught a lot of attention, I actually used the app Apple Clips, and I used the scenes in Apple Clips and app smashed myself as if I was in a video game, and then uploaded that onto Flipgrid, and I created what I called channels. And basically, it was just 5 different levels where the kids would have to go on and have to answer different math situations. And if they got it correct, they responded on Flipgrid, then they would get to go on to the next challenge. And the goal was to get them through the whole 5 stages or whatever it was.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun.
And so it was
a lot of fun. The kids loved it.
And what was the say, like the time span for that, for those students to be able to accomplish that goal?
That's a great question. Well, it was a challenge. And so it was really more or less of like, who could fire off the most answers as quickly as possible. So this was just one lesson, really. Yeah. When I've done more intricate styles lessons like that, where I've done, for example, I used another effect on Apple Clips where I made it look like I was in the illustrations of a book, just like a regular chapter book, where then the kids were reading. And then like when they get to chapter 1, they would have to go on to the illustrations that I was stuck in to go back and tell the main idea, or so on and so forth, where it was, of course, more of a week.
Yeah, man, that's very, very cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So for Kristin's side, when you were talking about, transforming your classroom and turning it into, a particular environment or a scenario, what have you, do the students have buy-in on that? Or how does that work? Do they come in? Do they come in surprised? Surprise!
Oh yeah, they're so excited. So it's always my favorite to get the video when they come in. We did like a pirate theme, and we had like tape on the floor. It was all like a map with X's, and I took coolers and spray painted them to look like chests, and there's things. So they come in and they're like, oh, and of course you have to dress up. So you're dressed up like a pirate with a hat, and they're like, what are we doing? And you kind of get into character. I've changed my room to look like a courtroom, so the tables have all been moved, and I have like a robe and a big desk, and they try to kind of guess what's going on. My favorite one, it comes at the end of the year. We have like a big film festival, and I have help from some business partners at school that will come in and they like drape the whole classroom and uplight it, and the kids get all dressed up. And so anything that can make it engaging or authentic is what's really gonna hook them. And sometimes it's really big and grandiose, and sometimes it can be something as simple as a hat on your head, or something that just why are you wearing that, or what are you doing?
Yeah,
right.
That's something that changes it to get them engaged.
So
that's very cool.
So for our listeners, wouldn't you say that it doesn't have to be? I think people, teachers that don't do this and just hear about it or see about it or follow it on Instagram or Twitter, they think that we do it every day, that you're doing this every day. And they have to understand that it's not an everyday thing, but the real cool part of it is the build up to it, is all the preparation and getting the kids prepped for it and all the lessons that can be created just getting to that point. Yeah,
there's definitely a balance. I mean, with everything, there's a balance. And we really try to make it clear that, yeah, we love technology, but we also pick up a pencil or use a whiteboard. Sometimes we have the kids working on all this really interactive stuff, and sometimes we're sitting in a circle. Mm-hmm. And it's just teaching them that balance and really focusing on what is the task at hand. What are we trying to accomplish through this lesson, and what are we trying to learn? And is the technology or is that activity going to help me in that, or is it going to hinder? Is it going to take longer to do it the more really elaborate, cool way? And so kind of finding that balance, in certain lessons and activities really lend themselves to certain things, and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just come in and the engagement comes through the joking, the way you talk, or the hand gestures, or the way you're excited about it.
Sure.
So I have a question for both of you, and you can both hit it if you want to. So right now, social and emotional is a really big deal for us. We're dealing with a lot of kids from a lot of areas. So people would say that the tech takes away from that, and I don't personally agree with that. I believe that the tech actually enhances that. You guys mind talking towards that?
I'm actually glad that you asked that. I can give you a perfect example. So I have a couple of students in my class that, they're not the most outspoken students. And, when they do talk, the stuff that comes out of them is shy and reluctant. For the most part, it's good stuff in class conversation. But when you put technology in front of them, a perfect example, Flipgrid, it allows them to be themselves. And in a first grader's mind, they're thinking that, okay, it's just me and this device talking. They're not thinking further down the line where 18 or 19 or 20 other kids might see this.
Right.
So basically what had happened one time was I had a student who, like I said, was more reluctant and shared an example of how to solve a math problem. And so the way he explained it was phenomenal. And it was way better than probably I could have explained it. So by the other kids now going on to Flipgrid and seeing that, I had kids coming up to me, they're like, you see what that kid, they see what he said over there? Like, I didn't even think to do that. And so then it creates this like web of discussion. And now that kind of takes that social feeling and it boosts it, because now the kid has confidence to say, hey, you know what? My ideas are actually pretty good.
Yeah, that's really cool. So let's talk about all the different apps that you guys, because I know you're both ambassadors of several different apps. So for our listeners, and we are active, you're very active in the community, so you see this stuff, but a lot of our listeners just see the names. And so they see Seesaw and they see Flipgrid and they see Buncee, and they don't really understand the difference between them. I think they all go, well, don't they all do the same thing? So do you mind giving our listeners kind of a rundown, real quick summary of what you use those things for in class?
Yeah, we have a lot of apps and programs, like we call it our toolbox, that we kind of go to pull from. So obviously Flipgrid's a video platform, and it's a platform where students can record video-based things or upload videos. Seesaw is kind of like an online student portfolio. So it's more of like a repository where the students can put their own work up, or the teachers can put up work, or they can put assignments through, but it has a parent connection. So the parents can sign in and see what their students are doing. And that's been really huge, because then now you have an authentic audience. The parents feel connected, but then the students also feel a sense of ownership of, oh, can I go put this on my portfolio? So we have that one. What's Buncee? You want to share? How would you describe Buncee?
Buncee is another type of presentation tool. It's phenomenal. It's great, especially for kids our age, because it's like the platform similar to Flipgrid is very easy to use, and the kids are able to add different types of things that they couldn't do in maybe like a PowerPoint or a Google slide. So it allows them to do that. Book Creator is really neat because kids can create books. If you are working on a writing assignment, why not have your kids create slides in Book Creator and then publish it to the iBook store? It's amazing.
Those are more of your platforms that integrate well with, or app smash well with other things like Doings and Grease Screen, or what's some other ones? Chatterpix. Or those are more programs that are specifically geared and they do one thing, but those bigger platforms can integrate well with a lot of those other programs.
Yeah. Yeah, that is very, very cool. And I love the idea of you're already teaching your students, even at the first grade level, at the fourth grade level, you're already teaching your students, whether they recognize it or not at the beginning, certainly after a couple of whacks at it, that you are reaching a much broader audience than you might realize. And I love the fact that you're using different platforms that turn them into publishers. It's not just, we're not just putting this work out there into Google Classroom where only my teacher can see it, or I'm not just typing up this paper or creating this one video where only my teacher can see this, right? You're hitting them. Again, they may not realize it right away, but I'm sure it doesn't take very long for them to go, oh, holy cow, I just sent this, this just went out, and like you said, 18 or 20 other students saw it, or how many parents saw this, or how many people in the community saw this. And so you're teaching them that, when you put stuff out there, it's not necessarily just for you and me. This is, we're going to reach a much broader audience.
I actually have a student that was my class last year that still comes back today and will say, how many views do I have on that? Because they know that it went out, and it got a lot of attention because it was a green screen app smashed into Flipgrid where they are raising awareness about manatees. And they just thought that it should be out there. So I'm like, let's do it. And sure enough, it got a lot of attention. So she still comes back. How many views do I have on that?
Well, there's a level of digital citizenship there too,
right,
where they may not completely understand what it is, but to help teach them that they create their own reputation. So everything that they write, everything that they say is going to be seen and heard by other people. And is it going to be in a format that can benefit them and be something that can help people, or what's the purpose of it?
Right.
These kids are so digital. We saw online or read online somewhere that their search engine is YouTube, which just blew my mind.
Yeah.
Everything to them. So, okay, if you want to put it out there and people are going to see it, what do you want to be known for? What do you want to be viewed as? What are you trying to get across? And they don't quite see that like we see it. But that's our goal, for them to understand that when things do go out, there is an audience, and it's not just sitting somewhere in a folder for me to see. That when we do something, it is for for other people.
Right.
Wouldn't you say that that this is so? We've talked about all these great apps and everything that are great for kids, but isn't it funny how these exact same ones are great for teachers? I mean, don't you guys love? I mean, because I think Buncie's awesome, and making presentations with Buncie's is a lot of fun, and making graphics with Buncie, is a hoot. Wouldn't you think that has enhanced your teaching and enhances those teachers that actually embrace it and changes the whole scope of what you do?
Yeah, I mean, it really opens the door for teachers, because not only are we depending on our students to be creative, but we need to be creative as well. And so if we're using tools like this, we're only capturing their attention so much quicker, And
I think it's fun too to sometimes. I'm usually prepared, but every once in a while I'll throw something out there and say, hey, let's learn this. And I think it's important for them to see that I don't always know, that I'm learning it with them, and that there's this process, there's a persistence that comes through learning something new, and you might struggle, and then you get to the end and you kind of reflect on it and you start the whole process again. And when you do that as a teacher, you become a better teacher. Yeah. And so while working with the kids, I will never forget when I opened Green Screen Doing, and I wanted to die. I knew nothing about green screen video. And I was like, oh yeah, I know what we're doing. Let's open this. And I'm watching over their shoulder, pretending I know what's going on. I have no clue. And watching them walk through it and learning it with them. And I gained a confidence that day on something that they didn't really know. And now I have no fear of being like, I don't know, let's open it up, let's figure it out.
Right.
Yeah.
And them seeing that and realizing, oh, it's okay if I don't know. Okay, let's figure it out. And that fear is gone. And then they become so much more willing to try, willing to be creative, because there's no fear of being wrong.
Right.
I think something comes too from the fear of I'm going to break something,
Yes.
And so once we get over that, we're like, no, let's just try it out. We can fix it if we break it. It's fine.
Right. Yeah.
So once they get over that, it changes.
Well, and I think it's you touched on a very important piece there, and that is that it's okay for the teacher. It's okay for us as educators to not know. It's also okay for us to pretend we don't know, right? So sometimes, even though we know how to do something, we can pretend we don't know, so that it helps that particular group of students. They get to kind of discover that, and people are people, so we like our little wins, and kids are, the way kids are. If they can win one over on the teacher, that boosts it. Your kids will have heads so big they can't fit in the door. They're like,
it happened to me this morning.
You didn't know that, and I was able to show you that.
I couldn't get my new frame, this fancy framework, and it's all touch screen, and I couldn't get the keyboard to pop. And one of those quiet, I know how to do it. I'm ignoring him, and I'm going, and he's like, no, I know how to do it. So I stopped and listened, and sure enough, he knew exactly how to do it.
Isn't that cool?
And I wanted to be like, how'd you know how to do that? But instead, all the kids are like, whoa. And he was so confident, and and it's okay, great, I didn't know how to do it. It's okay, thank you for helping me. And he's going to have a feeling now of knowing what that feels like. So then the next time someone comes along, he'll have the courage to say, hey, I know how to help you.
Right.
Yeah, it's just, you learn so much in these kinds of lessons than what you originally aimed to do.
That's really awesome.
Yes, so much more than whatever your goals and objectives are that you have either written on the board or in your notes or whatever. The things you actually end up learning and covering end up so much more than what you thought was going to get covered, or sometimes so different than what you thought was going to get covered.
Yes. Right.
Yeah,
fail forward is what I always say. So
that's right. Fail forward.
Great. Yep.
That is
So,
cool.
if our listeners want to get in touch with you guys, what's the best way to do it?
So you can follow us collectively on Twitter at the Merrill's EDU. That's on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We have a website. It's themerrillsedu.com.
Okay.
If you're looking to connect with us individually.
Yeah, more like I'm a first grade teacher and I really want to know, or I teach writing. So my handle's at Friends and Fourth.
Okay.
And mine is just at Mr. Merrill's class. That's 2 R's and 2 L's.
Cool. And don't forget Flipgrid Fever Chat. You want to give a shout out to that one?
Yes. That next chat is coming up, I think.
We've been all out of whack. It's in the middle of December because Adam Shorts has got the next one going on. But we've been kind of tagging. They've been doing these new Flipgrid features where they've been having these awesome webinars with different people. And so they've been trying to schedule the chat to go after those webinars. But if you just do it with the hashtag Flipgrid Fever, you'll not only see all those kinds of things, but the community is so big. Right now, we've got the days of Advent on Flipgrid mixed with global goals. I mean, like, there's just such great stuff on there. Just search the hashtag. You'll find everything plus more, I think.
Okay.
awesome.
And Joe, tell us about your 2 books before we get out of here.
Oh, okay. So I have 2 ebooks that are actually available for free download. And it basically just kind of goes through the steps of how you can app smash. So when you use things like Flipgrid or Seesaw, those platform type apps, Bunsy, it kind of explains how you can take an app like ChatterPix and use it with Flipgrid to kind of, increase that engagement level, to get a little more creative. So there's 2 different volumes. Volume 1 is obviously probably for beginners. Volume 2 would be a step up from that. But they're both available for the free download. If you go to my Twitter, it's right on the top, pinned to the top. And feel free to download them.
That's really awesome.
Awesome.
I have to say, we've had a wonderful time with the Merrills, and we're glad you guys came on the show and reached out to us. We'll actually be in Florida for FETC at the end of January. So
We will see you there.
Be there.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
we'll
awesome.
We'll have to meet up.
yeah,
Yes, that'd be
You won't
cool.
miss us. We're always in the lobby. We do live podcasting from there, so you guys got to come by and see us.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for coming on the show, and we hope to talk to you again soon.
Thank you
guys
so much for having us.
Hi, I'm April Jackson with your East Update. This week, students speak with us about how they're totally committed to completing their East projects, not only because of the support they receive in East, but because they want to show the world what they can do. Let's take a listen.
We're all for it, and I feel like just having East there to help us just
Grow.
Yeah, grow and
with
it'd
the
be
technology they
Yeah.
offer, so
The
and they
class.
have everything we need to work on the project.
I mean, the class just being there for us to take initiative, for us to be like, hey, this is a problem, and we're gonna solve it.
and we're in 5th and 6th grade. Like, I was surprised at myself.
Yeah,
I know it's even better about this. It's showing that blind and visually impaired people can do more
than you think.
This week, the student-composed song was submitted anonymously. Thanks for sharing First Song with us. With your East Update, I am April Jackson.
Hey, thank you guys so much from the East Initiative Update for providing this week's insight into the East Initiative program.
Yeah, we really always like getting stuff from them, and it's always well-produced and very informative.
Yeah, they do a good job letting everybody know what's happening with East.
Hey, and speaking of what's happening with East, guess what's happening with us? In January, we'll be at FETC the last week of 2018.
Yeah, and then in February, we'll be in Chicago for ICE, the Illinois Computing for Education Conference.
And then in April, speaking of the Conrad Challenge, we'll be at NASA, where we're not singing this weekend as we did last week, but I am going to be the Rocket Man. In fact, I'm going to go for Rocket Man as my tag the whole time I'm there, as my nickname. I'm sure I'll walk through and I'm expecting NASA just to offer me an astronaut's contract right there when they see me. I mean, look at me.
I'll vouch for you. I'll say, please shoot them into space.
I look like a large stellar body. Stellar body. Excuse me. Cellular. Jeff's completely lost on this one. As I was saying,
that right there shows why he should be up in space.
I will have a contract doing menial manual labor there at the NASA place.
That's right. Broom Sweeper 101.
Hey, thanks for listening to the show. We hope you've had a good time. We have. Don't forget to visit us on the web at edutechguys.com, and always follow us on social media at Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you name it, we're out there. Hey, I'm Jeff Madlock.
I'm David Henderson.
We'll catch you next time.
You've been listening to the EduTech Guys, edutechguys.com.